Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on when you're watching this video. This is Mr. Argueta coming to you week number 2 in Principles of Management. So just wanted to get this video out to you. Obviously, yesterday we had a holiday. Thank you. I guess first and foremost, thank you to all of those who have either family or themselves have served in our military at any capacity. We appreciate it to be able to live a life of, freedom. And I hope that you all took a moment to reflect upon the sacrifices that have been made in regards to our wonderful country. That said, we're back at it in the middle of summer here. It is rainy today. It's Tuesday, but it's rainy. It is about 11 o'clock in the morning here. I'm getting this video out to you. Once again, since we were off yesterday, couldn't get the video out yesterday, but just wanted to give you an update in regards to where we're at and how we're doing. So regarding our first week, so I noticed that, and this is a little sort of counterproductive in what I'm about to say, because for those of you who are watching the video, you probably replied to the video, but there's several people that did not reply to the video, which means that they probably didn't see the video and therefore are going to be docked in points in regards to that. So for those of you that did watch and reply, thank you. I appreciate your interaction. I will be grading. I read through every discussion, so I will be grading those discussions throughout this week. So you should see some grades coming through. That said, well done, considering it is summer and people are families home, kids are home sometimes. It gets a little crazy. Vacations are planned. I get all that. So just keep in mind, I do not go back and I do not open early. So make sure you're staying on top of your coursework. And once it's done, it's done. So we're already week 2 out of what would be essentially 7 weeks of work. So it goes by super fast, guys. It goes by super fast. So that's it. Let's talk about this week, week number 2. So in week number 2, we dive into the ethical perspective of things. I did see that about 4 people already jumped on it. So after reading chapter 4, I want you to discuss how you make a decision, how decisions are made with an ethical mindset, with an ethical perspective. Now, we all have some form of ethics, and I don't want you to get confused between ethics and doing what's right and what's wrong, because ethics is a little different. It's what we've decided is right or wrong, and I know some people will argue that with me, but that reflects upon your ethics. So part of this is, say, for example, one of the questions I usually bring up in this week's conversation is it ever okay to lie? Is it ever okay for you to tell a lie? And some people would be like, no, absolutely not. It's against my belief system. Well, it's against your ethical system, you may say. Some people believe that there is a higher power, a higher moral being. It's a responsibility, a good moral character. Some people will even go to the extreme in saying that a higher power has dictated this and has told us that it is always bad to lie. And I'm not saying that's not right, and I am not challenging you in regards to that. I am just identifying what that perspective looks like, and that would be under a deontological perspective. So under deontological mindset, a higher being, a higher power, a higher state of being will tell us what's right and what's wrong, and therefore we abide by that. However, that's not always the case, and every ethical perspective has its flaws, and you cannot adhere to them all the time, every day, at all moments of time. The reality is that we all mix a lot of these perspectives, or better yet, better stated, depending on circumstance, situation, people involved, we make a decision, and we make it on an ethical perspective. Well, for example, the other question I usually bring up in these conversations is the concept of, like, if you were the trolley scenario, the trolley dilemma. If you were the conductor of a train and you lost all power to stop the train, and you have to turn right or you have to turn left. There's no other option. And I know people are going to be like, well, I will first kill myself, or I'll stop this. No, that's not the, I'm not trying to find a right or wrong answer here. There is no right or wrong answer in these scenarios. It's just how you process, and the purpose, the exercise of this is obviously you are not a conductor of a train, and I pray you are never in this circumstance. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this little sort of exercise is for you to process how and why you would make that decision. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, there's no way I can do it. There's no way I can do it. I get it. I'm not forcing you to make a decision. I'm just trying to get you to mentally exercise, why would I make that decision? So if you go right, you notice that there's 10 people on that track. They're adults. They look older. They look like they're grown-ups. And so you either have the decision to turn the steering wheel to the right and kill 10 people, or you look to the left and there looks to be a child on the track, and you either are going to kill that one child or the 10 adults. And once again, I know you're not a conductor of a train. I know you will probably never be in this scenario. I am not trying for you to find the correct answer. I'm trying for you to process why you would make that decision. So why would you turn right and why would you turn left? Now, I'm also considering that you don't know much information because you're just driving at a high rate of speed and somehow you can't stop this train. There's no way to stop it. There's no option. You go right or left. What would you decide? So 2 big questions. Is there ever a situation where lying is okay? Where lying is actually a good thing? And number 2, ask yourself, would I kill 10 adults or a child if I had no other option? What would I do? And the purpose, as I mentioned, is to discover how you process information and why you make the decisions that you do. For example, a deontological person looks at things from, like I said, a higher power and might make a decision based upon that. Where a utilitarian perspective, ethical system states that the greater good for the greater number should be what overrides our decisions. In other words, I'm going to save 10 people rather than 1, but someone else might be like, well, this one child hasn't lived their life, so I'm going to save them. But we don't know the information. We don't know who they are. We don't know the people. So based on the lack of information, of course, we're going to make a decision at that moment. And then if I provide more information, you might change your mind. That's perfectly normal and okay, because we want to be able to process information and make a decision based on it. There's no black and white in this world. And I know we get confused by that because it's easy to assume something's right or wrong. But most of the time, we don't have that luxury. We have to consider all the facts. So that's what this sort of discussion is about, is what do you use? How do you process it? Because the more you know about yourself, the more you better understand the world around you. So read those perspectives. I recommend you research it, look it up, look at different things, go in and find out how that impacts everyone around you. And a lot of people see these sort of terms and they get a little flustered by it, like egoism, an ethical system that defines the acceptance of behavior, which is maximizing the consequences for an individual, for me, right? Well, we see that play out in everyday life. You know, what's in it for me? I sometimes make decisions, and I make decisions on how's it better for me. And then sometimes you make decisions based on what's better for everyone, right? It depends. So it depends on the circumstance, the people, the surrounding. And sometimes we can't make decisions on what's good for everyone or what's good for now. I get that. So my goal is for you to explore these decisions, not to commit you to something, because every one of these perspectives has its flaws. Every one. There's no way you could always follow this rule. It's impossible. It depends on the people, depends on what we're doing, depends on a lot of circumstances. So keep that in mind when you make this decision of where you're going with these. Of course, you're going to utilize one more than others, but you probably at some point in your life had used all of these at some level. That said, next week's week number 3, we go on from there. And then week number 4, don't forget, is our midterm. I think that's about it. I'll be grading your discussions this week. Let you know how things are going. If you have any questions, like always, email me. If not, try to stay dry. This week seems to be rainy. It was a tough storms over the weekend, but I think we should be getting into this better weather and kind of calmer, hopefully. And that's it. I mean, this week, my wife and my daughter, her friend, and my aunt, her aunt, which is my wife's sister, and her niece are all going to a girls' trip to Guatemala, ironically, the country my parents came from, and they're going to be enjoying a week out there in hiking the volcano, the fire volcano. Well, not the actual fire volcano, but the one right next to it, so you could see it erupting. If I get to get some pictures for you guys, I'll share that. I don't get to go. I get to stay here and stay with you and work. But that said, I hope you guys enjoy the week. Take care. We'll talk next time. See ya.